Hi everyone, I'm Steve Reynoso, COO of Media Group LPM, and tonight I wanted to give you guys a behind the scenes look at our newly renovated studio space. If you guys find any products you might like, I'm going to leave them down in the description below and they're going to take you to our Amazon storefront. Let's jump straight into the studio and check it out. Now this space, I'm excited to talk a lot about this space. This space has taken years to develop. This is the fourth iteration of this space. That means this is the fourth time we've made it. The first studio was nothing like this. It was petite. I remember it being a little part of my section back at home, a little part of my basement. And then now we have our own space rented out and it's huge. I mean, look at this screen behind me. This screen right here is amazing. It saves us. It adds so much to the studio space. This screen right here is a 10-foot LED screen. We actually custom made it. My uncle stopped on by. He helps us out. He knows the production and he's made a ton of these TVs before, but he helped us break it down. There's actually individual LED panels that come connected to 3 brackets. And as you could see, this is 3 different TVs all hooked up in one. And it's actually run from a laptop in our programming center, or actually our programming corner, I should say, which you guys will be able to take a look at a little bit later on in the video. I want to show you guys these audio panels. When we made the upgrade to this studio, one of the things we wanted to upgrade was the sound in the studio. We needed to make sure if we're going to invest a ton of money into the studio, we need to make sure we're investing the money in the right places. And one of the right places was audio. Even though we're not looking at mics, we're not looking at headphones, we're not looking at mixers, these audio acoustic panels are a big part of why our audio sounds so well. It makes sure to reduce echoes or any ambient noise that might be going on in the room, but it's also just a much more pleasant look than the normal foam panels you might see lying around in the studio. There's nothing wrong with them and they do a great job too, but I think these custom sound panels are a beautiful look to the studio. Another thing I wanted to highlight right above the acoustic panels is actually this bad boy. Without this bad boy, we wouldn't be able to run the studio at all. You don't understand how many electrical components we have running in here that need to be kept at a low temp. Without it being kept at a low temp, listen, we're in for one hell of a night. You're talking about hours and hours of rebooting, hours and hours of troubleshooting, seeing what's wrong, but this bad boy right here, make sure we never have to worry about that. One thing we do have to worry about is telling all our guests come in with a sweater because it's always winter in here. It's always gonna be cold no matter what. Thankfully, to this bad boy. If you've ever had a computer, a laptop, an iPhone overheat on you, you know what a hassle it can be and what it can lead to. So we don't want any of that because moving on, you're gonna be able to see a section of the studio which you don't really get to see. It's where all of our hardware is stored. You're talking about the 8 servers for all the radio stations running out of one corner. You're talking about all the live streams, all the media we run. It's all running out of here, so we need to make sure it's kept at a low temperature. Another thing I wanted to highlight, since I'm sitting right next to it, well, I'm standing right next to it, is these chairs. These chairs, actually, I'm laughing thinking about it. This has to be one of the best upgrades in here, because when we first started the studio 10 years ago, I remember sitting in plastic IKEA chairs. If you've been in IKEA, you probably know the chairs I'm talking about. Let's pop up a picture to show you guys, but those $20, $15 IKEA chairs, they got the job done. If you need to get the job done, there's nothing wrong with them. But when you're spending hours upon hours in the studio sitting down, you want to make sure you're comfy. So these chairs were definitely one of the first purchases we made when rebuilding the new studio. Now moving on to these microphones, oh my goodness, I wish I was using them right now to record the audio. You don't understand how clear the audio comes through in these microphones. These are top of the line RE20 microphones. If you're looking to host a podcast, not record music, because for music, these are actually terrible, but if you're looking to host a podcast, live stream of any sort, these microphones are the top of the line, the #1 microphone, and your go-to microphone. If you want to see how they sound, take a chance, take a second, go to lpmradio.com, go to LPM Radio on YouTube, and you could hear how it sounds. Or just look at my podcast that I've recorded, and then you'll hear how beautiful these mics come across. One thing about these microphones, you can't be sitting too far away from them, but you also can't be sitting too close to them. So one nice thing about this microphone arm, it gives you a lot of leniency to move around and maneuver it to where you can be comfortable sitting down and you don't have to do too much finagling or moving around while you're sitting here. The next thing I'd like to highlight in the room, which is probably one of the most important things, I know I keep saying important thing. It's like every time I turn around, I see, oh, without this couldn't be possible. Without this couldn't be possible. And that's the stage lights we have in here. We have a stage light for everyone sitting down. Without the lighting, you hear it in every video. In every video you see, it's lighting this, lighting that. When you're sitting down here and we turn on these stage lights, you will not see one shadow casted on everybody. The lighting will be exactly the same for everybody, the same color, the same temperature, the same everything. We've made sure to space the lighting out perfectly in this room, so when everything's said and done, you just sit here, cameras on, and everything's flowing beautifully. Now I want to take you guys to another section of the studio. This is probably this is the most important section of the studio and the place where me and my father spend our most time in. This is my favorite part. If you can't tell, well, maybe you'll be able to tell now. I'm a little awkward behind the camera, but behind here, I'll never be awkward. This is my home. This is where I love to live and where I spend all of my free time. And if I have no free time, I'll still make some free time. Without this portion of the studio, nothing you see here would be possible. This is hands down the most important part of the studio. I say it once again. But it's actually the part of the studio that's seen the biggest upgrade in the past few months. This was key to upgrading how our studio was run, because prior to this, we had to have somebody on the cameras and on the microphones and on the ads. We had to have somebody everywhere. Now, our corner is a lot more cleaned up. Not only if something were to go wrong, is it easy for us to access our wires or our hardware, but also when things are going right, it's easy for us to stay out of the way. Before, we used to kind of be in the middle, but now as you can see, we're out of the way. You could barely see us on camera unless we need to be, and it just makes it a lot easier when trying to run the show. I know behind me you guys might see a little hectic show of 5 monitors, but for me, it isn't hectic at all. It actually makes my workflow really seamless. Starting with this monitor off to my right, this is where we could go live, record anything, and see all our 8 cameras. As well, to the monitor to my left, I could see my 8 cameras, but that's a whole nother thing I want to talk about. That is actually another upgrade we had in the studio, which is a software called Camera One. What is Camera One, you might ask? It's a software that connects your microphone and cameras together, and you could connect them through your ATEM switcher. That switcher is the one we used to use to connect whether we want to see Camera One, whether we want to see Camera Two. But now, that switcher, instead of somebody needed being on it, pressing every single button, the software actually picks up the audio levels that you could manually adjust. So if somebody's talking too low, you could adjust it to pick it up at a lower setting versus somebody's talking too high, adjust it at a higher setting, and it'll automatically switch over to that camera. What's nice in the studio is we have a camera for every microphone. So when somebody's talking, it'll just automatically snap onto that. We also have a camera controller, which lets us zoom in or zoom out and control the cameras in the background in case something's off or we want to catch a larger shot or maybe a close-up shot. But that's what the 2 bottom monitors do. Now, moving to the top monitors. The first one I want to talk about is Caller One. Caller One's been pretty cool because it allows us to not house a physical phone here and lets us connect digitally, or actually through our computer, to our Axia console. We're going to be talking about our Axia console in a little bit, but before that, I wanted to finish off with these 2 monitors behind me. These 2 monitors are the ones that we could actually look over our radio stations online. So we could program all our ads, all our shows, all our playlists, and make sure they're running smoothly. And if they're not running smoothly, this is where we could check and reboot. We have all 8 computers and all 8 individual servers connected to these monitors where we could switch around and see what's going on, whether something's going on right or something's going on wrong. You never know where you gotta check. But let's back up a little bit so you guys could see this Axia console. I wanted you guys to be able to see the Axia console when I talk a little bit more about it. So the Axia console actually comes in 3 parts. There's 2 parts right here, and then the main part down here in the server rack. These 2 parts I like to reference it as the mouse and keyboard because as I click away and press all the buttons on here and mess with everything, it's the PC that's handling the hard work down here in the server rack. That's where everything in the studio is connected. Every signal is getting sent through the console, and it's all handling it all at once and making sure it's getting sent to the proper places. From microphone to headphone to Instant 360 to iPhone. We actually have an iPhone in here connected through Bluetooth in case anybody is international, wants to call through WhatsApp. That's possible for us. I mean, this Axia console has unlocked a whole new level of broadcasting for us, and it's been amazing. I could have never expected it when switching it. It would have been this much of a difference, but it's definitely made a huge difference. And on top of this server rack with the console, we have another server rack sitting next to it that houses our 8 individual radio stations. We're actually gonna be upgrading this server rack soon to house just one server where those 8 computers will pretty much be running onto one big computer. That's gonna be nicer because now we could back up everything on the cloud and we don't have to worry if anything goes wrong here. Oh, our computer's gone, oh, the radio station's down. No, now radio stations are just gonna be running smooth and seamless. In case anything were to ever go wrong, we never have to worry about anything shutting down or having to reboot. It all goes on in the cloud through the server, and it's gonna make it a lot easier for me. So that was just a little walkthrough of the studio to give you guys an idea of what it looks like to run the studio every time we go live and record anything in here. But at the same time, it's also to help me practice behind the camera because as you guys could tell, I'm a little bit awkward and a little bit uncomfortable, honestly. I don't record much behind the camera. I'm usually the one pressing the camera, the one recording, the one hosting everything, telling the person what to do, how to do it. And then honestly, I used to be hard on people, but now I might take it a little bit easier because gosh darn, it is not easy being behind the camera. I don't know what it is. I have no pressure either. There's nobody behind the camera, just me and the camera, and I'm over here like, but with practice, we'll always get better. That's the whole point of this YouTube channel. I mean, nobody's perfect. Nobody ever starts off being amazing, and I want to show you guys that with me not being perfect and me not being amazing, man. I'm gonna be honest, I hate this stuff. I hate being behind the camera. I hate talking, but I want to show you guys it's possible, even for people who hate it, even for people who think they're not the best. I'm gonna show you with time and effort and commitment, you guys could grow, become better at anything you guys want to do. With saying that, I know I rushed through this video a little bit, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment down below, ask me anything. If you guys want to reach out on Instagram, if you guys want to connect on LinkedIn, feel free to message me. I'm happy to answer any questions when it comes to music, content, videos, audio, just anything that has to do with this space. Feel free to reach out and talk to me. If not, I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope you guys love the studio as much as I loved building it. Peace.